I'm a social worker by training, and I worked in accessible recreation for a long time, and all of that kind of came into fruition. I'm the daughter of folks with disabilities, and I've had a front row seat my whole life to all the different ways that this world is not accessible, our society is not accessible, and two, how our societies are not inclusive of folks with disabilities and their loved ones. I mainly work with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, as well as other disability rights related policies and just actions that impact the people of Denver. And I primarily focus on program access, which is all the bits of accessibility that don't really have anything to do with our built environment. So not ramps or elevators, but things like communication access and service dogs. I work with all of our public-facing programs and services here in Denver to make sure that our programs are accessible. So I sit down with program managers, evaluate their programs, and then add in any kind of resources or fill in any kind of accessibility barriers, gaps that I find in my evaluations of, one, ways that we can be more compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and two, just kind of be more accessible in general and more inclusive to folks with disabilities. I've been activated in our Emergency Operations Center as our equity coordinator, or one of the equity coordinators. And equity means a lot of things, right? There's always an equity decision to be made, and anytime humans interact or anytime the government makes a decision. And in the last 3 months in an emergency deployment, especially what we've been focusing on, which is sheltering operations, we want to make sure that we're creating shelter for folks who need it, and we're not taking away any resources from other folks who also need it. For example, we have a cold weather system moving in, so it's going to get really, really cold. We need to open up warming centers for our folks experiencing homelessness out in the streets of Denver. How do we get accessible cots into our warming centers? We see a lot more folks with physical disabilities, so I wanted to make sure we had beds that people can transfer from their wheelchairs onto the bed and vice versa. My job is just to really be a fly on the room and to highlight any arising equity or present equity issues. HRCP is really unique. The Division of Disability Rights is really unique. If we lead from a disability justice perspective, we really lead from that. The motto of the disability rights movement is nothing about us without us, and we really lead from that. We go to the community for any actions that we're making, any decisions that we're making. It's what do folks with disabilities in Denver need and want.